firstly, I'm glad to see everybody here. This is a good tight crowd of people. I think that the Piano Factory, starting with Wally's book, has become a tradition, and I think, you know, with Blues Help too here, filming, I think that we're going to look up at the end of a year and a half, and see that we've had some really interesting readings here. I think Dick Martin was a real plus as well. I keep feeling a sense of responsibility to make some sort of, or write some sort of a position paper or something about igneus. I think it's premature because I'm not quite sure where it's going or what's involved yet. And as we're moving along, things are coming clearer and clearer. But one of the common themes that I think that I find amongst the first three books that we have, those three that are up there, are, and not necessarily in this order or any order, are the majority of the poets that are involved in the books. They all seem to represent 10, 12 years of distillation of work and a real serious apprenticeship and you know, a growth and movement that tickles me pink. It's things like that involve no posturing, you know, growing to the point where you know, you're simply positioned behind your work, and that's what you have to do. Each manuscript, as it's come into me, I felt that way about very seriously. That this is a, you know, this is somebody who's worked dearly and hardly to come up with these fine pieces of work. The second common theme that I've seen amongst these three books, the three writers, is that and those to come, we have some other titles that are to come too, and I think it's true of them, is that there is no school. You know, this is an unpigeonholable group. This is a group that is, if it's trading on anything, it's trading on its diversity. It's trading on its broad vision of various roots, regionally and poetically and spiritually, and emotionally and psychologically, and that this excites me. This excites me. It's not a group of people clustering together with a small point of view. And in the third, and perhaps the most meaningful part to me, is that I think this is a group of people, and each one of these books is a book that is deeply concerned with the human condition. That it's evolved beyond the postmodern era. We're evolved in an era where these are people who do care. They're not people who are trying to scare us away with nothingness. They're not people who are trying to disconnect from us as they share their poems with us. These are people who passionately and deeply care. They care about their human experience, and they care about their human fellow person. And I think this is an enormous step forward. It to me leads back in the direction of some sort of decency and dignity for mankind. Some of the plans ahead, hopefully, I think this fall we plan to put, or late this fall, early winter, we plan to put a book out by Richard Blevins, who is a well-known scholar and editor and a good poet in his own right. And it's gonna add a dimension to the stew that we're trying to cook up here. There's gonna be a real historicity involved in what he's doing. It's gonna give you insight into Melville's characters and how they actually represent archetypes in a period in history, and start to tie some of things off in American literature. They're much needed. Vincent Farini is planning to do a collective book of works with us, the years 58 to 63. And fellow poet and friend Bob Snyder here, we're trying to twist his arm and give us a songbook somewhere down the line. That, I think, is enough said. It's just an indication of some of the things that I'm feeling about what igneus is about and what it's doing. I guess what I'd like to do is introduce the first poet that's going to read tonight. And all I can say is that Bill Kemmett and I go back some 18 years or so, 16, 18 years to Stone Soup on Cambridge Street. And as far as the poetry world goes, and its loyalties and so forth, this has been a great thing. I've seen a lot of changes in Bill's poems. I think they've gotten stronger, cleaner, and more understated, and they always were. They were always that way. And they've even gotten closer to the heart of it. Bill and I, for years, joked about short poems when everybody was falling in love with their own voice. He and I were writing these little. And part of our inside joke was always that, well, we're both raising a slew of kids, you know, and God's sakes, we don't even get time to finish a thought, let alone a sentence. And I think that's been a bond that we've shared, the poetry and the raising of children and the commitment to family that we've always shared. And I also think that we've had an enormous appreciation for one another's perception and ultimately the ability to transform that perception into humor. I think that we both, in our heart of hearts, feel that humor is in fact a healing saw. It's the beginning way for us to look at those parts of our being that we all cross the street from. It's the first introduction into cracking that nut open that we all need to do to be whole people. So I think that that perception and ability to transform it into humor are two more qualities and bonds that Bill and I have had over the years. I think The Flesh of the New Moon is an incredibly powerful book. And I think Bill Kemmett, as well as Pete and Wally, give me a true hope for a dignity in life. I respect Bill as a person, a man, a husband, a father,